All right, so I don't know what's going on, but Frankie's broken. We're gonna limp over to Dr. Sosa's, aka Silverback Garage, and see if we can sort it out. See if you can hear it. There's something rattling around back there. I'm kind of worried that our rear, what do you call that thing? Universal joint. I'm kind of worried that our universal joint's going out. See if you can hear what I mean. All right, well, good old Silverback Garage, you know he would know what the problem was, and obviously Frankie's not driving, so had to borrow the other truck. All right, so here's what's up. A few different things. The exhaust is rubbing against the frame rail. That's causing a little bit of noise there. But really, the driveline, the universal joints on both sides got to get swapped out. The reason we were able to tell is because on one of the universal joints, on one side of it, it was shiny, meaning it was moving. So that's not good. Silverback Garage helped me look up the part numbers that we need, and we're gonna swap that bad boy out right now. So now we're just going to O'Reilly's. Got the part number. We're in a good spot, and now we just gotta get 2 universal joints, pop those in, and we should be good. I've never changed universal joints, so this will be a learning experience for sure. Well, I did on the 52, but a little different, ball and trunnions. And it's supposedly, they're supposed to have them in stock, so let's hope so. Good old O'Reilly's. All right, we got 2 universal joints. I think we're in a good shape, good spot. I mean, I don't know if you can hear it, but it does not sound happy. And I'm pretty sure it's got to be a universal joint. I mean, from what we can see, it makes sense. Let's get that done. Just gonna go slow. Really don't need it popping out. All right, so I'm watching the video and editing and explaining to you what's going on here, because we did the time lapse, and as you can see, we're taking the universal joint off, right? Which, it's really not that bad. You know, you pop off a couple bolts. So I pull that bad boy out of there, right? And then Sosa was awesome. He was helping me the entire time. And basically what we're doing is we're using that press. And we're using the press to pop out the universal joints, which really wasn't too bad. I mean, luckily we did the ball and trunnions with Morticia the other day. So I kind of had a little bit of familiarity with it already. But huge thanks to Sosa. I mean, this is thanks to Sosa's help. So it's just funny. I'm trying to keep pace with it. But yeah, so we popped out so basically you push out each side, and then you can pull the universal joint out, right? Which makes it's really not that bad. And then basically use the vise to basically wiggle the cap off. And so that's basically what you're doing. Going back and forth, pushing one side, then pulling the cap off with the vise, and then going back. And you can see it turned out great. I mean, so we did the one side to start, and we're reinstalling it, which reinstalling is not bad because you just have those 2 little U-shaped hooks. And of course, we made sure to clean all the surfaces as well. So that worked out really good. But yeah, I mean, reinstalling that part, really not too bad. But I could tell something was off, because there was like a little space on each side. All right, well, quite the ordeal, but we basically got it. Although the back U-joint's the wrong size, so we still have more work to do. And that carrier bearing where the yoke slips in, it needs to be replaced. So we're kind of like halfway done, but Frankie's kind of drivable, so. Making progress, baby, boom. All right, guys, well, we are back at it. working on Frankenstein, hopefully getting through the remainder of our issues here. And we got a few things in the mail. We got our universal joints. Boom. And we got our bearing. See if we got a picture there. You can see the picture there. So I'm hoping we'll be in a really good spot. God willing, they're the right parts. And yeah, and we're gonna go over to Silverback Garage. We're gonna go to his spot because he's been so kind enough to help us out. I mean, I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have Frankie back on the road, baby. So by the next day, you know, I'm getting the hang of it. It gets, you know, you're trying to get through it, and sometimes it can be a little frustrating when things aren't going right. But Sosa's really awesome. I mean, he's really coaching me through the process. Can't thank the guy enough. But anyway, so I'm back under, I'm pulling the universal joint out, and lo and behold, it's the wrong one again. So frustrating. So we got a bit of a rough time with these universal joints. The one I got is wrong, but it's like right on one width. So I don't know. It almost looks like two different widths. So I have both length examples, and hopefully O'Reilly's has what I need. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation. All right, so I went into O'Reilly's. I mean, they're of course super helpful. I mean, the lady there is super nice, but they don't have it. I mean, she did find it. There is one that has like two different sizes like that, but they were all out. So she wrote down the part numbers. There's two other auto parts stores that are right close here. I'm hoping they're gonna have it. Otherwise, she ordered it to arrive 1 o'clock, which is not ideal, but might be our option too. But yeah, it's just sometimes I guess that's how it goes. You just battle parts, but definitely not fun. Round 2 is a no-go. This guy's like literally driving in the middle of the road. Good old Arizona drivers. So we're back at it, and you know, it's tough because you go through all these different parts and it gets to be really frustrating, but the process itself becomes kind of repetitive, which is nice. You know, you're pushing out the one side, popping off the cap. It's so funny because I go under there and I had the new bearing, and I think I'm just gonna pop the old one off and put the new one in. Man, was I wrong. Pulling off that old bearing proved to be quite difficult. But when I was under there, I could push on the drive shaft and that bearing was shot. I mean, it was shot. But anyways, so originally I thought, oh, well, I could just pop this bearing off. I mean, that bearing was really bad. I can't emphasize how bad that bearing was. But originally I thought, oh, I'll just hammer it off. That'll work. No, it really wasn't. I mean, I was trying to, I don't think it would ever work in any scenario. And then I'm sitting there worried. I'm like, well, I'm banging on it, pushing on the other side. Oh, wait, there's a universal joint on that side. So then I'm like, I've got extra universal joints. Let's get that one done. So now I'm taking that side off, and I'm like, we might as well just do it all together. You know, trying to do it the smart way and not wanting to have to revisit this for a little while. Because it wasn't the funnest job. It wasn't the end of the world. Definitely doable. But you can see, I mean, I had to grind the pieces of metal off. It took a lot of effort to get that bearing off of there. And from what I could see online, that's kind of the norm. So, I mean, we used the wheel of death to cut some of it, but. All right, so we're going back. O'Reilly's just called saying they got the part. So we're going back to get the part, hoping it's the right one. I think it is though, because we looked at the measurements. You never know, but hopefully that's it. And now we're trying to get that bearing off, which you can see, and it's just been a real fun thing. Somebody got in an accident up here. Oh, where they're towing. Somebody's towing. Yeah, be careful, kids. What are you kids doing with your imports? Your Hondas? All right, guys, wish us luck. I think it's the right one. On one side, there was like a 1/16 of an inch difference, but I think it's gonna be okay. I think so. I hope so. I don't know any other option. I mean, I've pretty near looked at every universal joint in Arizona, and this one seems to be close is bent. So I don't know. I do think it's it, or close enough to be good enough. But yeah, so on the side that presses in, not on the driveline side, it's like a 1/16 of an inch shorter, which isn't great. But I think because that's the side that presses in, I think you'll be okay. I think there's enough. And I'm also kind of gauging that off the tolerance in the, 1/16 of an inch really isn't much. So, maybe between the crusty ones being off a little and maybe once you put it all together, it's a little, I think we'll be okay. The other one was like an 1/8 of an inch or so. So let's check it out. Also, huge thank you to our Patreons, because thanks to our Patreons, they provided this universal joint. So that's how we were able to fund this universal joint, which doesn't maybe seem like a lot, but these little things really do help. So if you want to become part of our Patreon program, it's in the link below, baby. And this is good. We're on the tail end of it, and we've got a pretty good hang of it by now. We're just trying to get that bearing off. And, using everything, chisels, grinding, cutting it off. The cutting it off actually seemed to work the best. But just being careful not to go too far, right? Which we did end up nicking it a little bit, but nothing too bad. But yeah, it took a lot. It's definitely doable, but it's a bearing and it's designed to be tight. So kind of to be expected, right? So that was it. All right, well, we were on day 3 or so, and going back over to Sosa's Silverback garage. Hopefully we get the bearing that we need, we get everything put back together, and get Frankie back on the road, baby. All right, so we're back again. And, the longer a project goes on, it gets to be stressful. And I'm worried at this point, are we going to get the right part? Luckily, Sosa went with me to make sure we did. So that worked out great. He helped me reinstall the bearing as well, which ended up working great, thanks to Sosa, a Silverback garage. And then it kind of became, the last part was a little easy in the fact that, okay, I've got the universal joint down. So now I'm just swapping that for one of the other ones that we had bought, which worked out great because it wasn't a waste. And then I'm reinstalling it. And really, as far as reinstalling the bearing, once it was pressed on, just the other part was just bolting it to the truck itself. So it's just 2 bolts, really no big deal there, which is awesome. And then, of course, putting the universal joint back in, which of course is the old pressing action. You line it up with the vise, get it close, and then you press it in with the press, put the clips in. Not too bad, really not too bad. Once you get the hang of it, it's not bad, but you do need a press for the most part, unless you got some other creative way to do it, which there are. You could use like a C-clamp with the impact wrench. That could probably work too. But then you can see we're reinstalling it back on the driveline. Luckily this time it fit. It actually fit very well. And so we're just putting those bolts back on, which that part, again, really easy. Making sure to brick your vehicle so it doesn't roll off on you. You do got to put it in neutral, of course, so you can move the driveline around throughout the process. But of course, we have bricks throughout the process, safety first. But really, it was a lot, but not that bad. Holy cow, we got her! Wow! Frankie's running so smooth. It was a lot of work, a lot. Huge thank you to Silverback Garage, aka Sosa. Really appreciate everything he did to help us get Frankie back on the road. And this is a huge success. A lot of shakes and rattles that we used to have are now gone. Frankie's running so much smoother. So excited. Boom, baby. Wow. So crazy how much a difference it really made.